Hello again, thank you for joining me. In this video, I'm talking about the word esoteric and how it's misunderstood, especially in the world of Freemasonry. Now, I am talking about sort of Freemasonry in the UK specifically, because I think overseas, when I say overseas, I mean in the States, and even and especially in France, the notion of Freemasonry being esoteric in nature is very widely embraced. But I know in the UK, it's seen as something that is slightly odd. Someone who practices in Freemasonry, engaged in looking at the meaning of the ritual in an esoteric way, is deemed to be somewhat off-centre. That's how it's seen. And it raises an eyebrow with the general knife and fork Masons. See, the problem with Masonry as it's become, and it's not a dig on the organisation as such, it's more about how inevitably something has actually, in my view, fallen into a decline, a path away from what it was originally intended to do. Originally, it was intended to be an initiatic order designed so that one could use something like the ritual and ceremonial and allegory as an agency through which one could undergo a spiritual initiatic transformation within. So they would refer back to their experiences in Masonry and use that as some kind of agency through which they can have as an assistance for this transformation that's happening within, a spiritual transformation. But Masonry has mainly become, nowadays, a meeting group for people who are engaged in similar interests. They have similar interests, like you have... and by the way, using these examples, like, it's not denigrating these people in any way. In any way. It's just to show you how it's become. You have Masonic lodges that are interested in motorbikes. You have those that are interested in rugby, certain sports, certain music. You have those who have been involved in the military. You have police lodges. You've got lawyer lodges, all sorts. People who tend to want to be among those of a group that they have similarity with in the outside world. And it's become an old boys network, a drinking club that have ladies' nights, charity events, and dining events. Now, all of that has its place. You know, it sounds like I'm denigrating it a bit. Maybe I am slightly, but it's not meant in a derisory way. It's more of the sense that I hold dear to my heart what I believe to be the original meaning of Freemasonry, and where Masonry has, one could say, evolved, one could say changed to. All of the stuff like charity raising, you know, camaraderie, dining events, that all has its place. It's all good stuff for building bonds between people. Raising money for charity does a hell of a lot of good. But as I'm going to talk in other videos, something like charity is not, I don't think it was meant to be raising money for charity. I think it was something else. I will talk about that in another video. But the notion of esoteric means intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialised knowledge or interest. Now, how esoteric is seen nowadays, rather than its real definition, it's seen as someone who's engaged in something that is off-centre, something that's odd. And, you know, the general Freemason, the knife and fork Freemason, will raise his eyebrows at anyone engaged in the esoteric interpretation of Freemasonry. It's often wrongly conflated with something seemingly nefarious, and I think a lot of it has to do with those in positions of certain levels of Masonic authority. Not everyone, because I've met people who are in higher levels who talk about Masonry from an esoteric perspective, but there are a significant number of people in the Masonic authorities who would turn away, shun, essentially, anything seemingly esoteric. And there has been quotes by those in high positions of Masonic authority who have come out and said there is nothing spiritual or esoteric in Freemasonry. Well, that's really putting down the drawbridge on any notion of something deeper. I mean, there's something that many UK Masons will know, and I suspect many Masons around the world will understand and will be able to repeat by rote, is that Freemasonry is a peculiar system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. So if we're looking into the meaning of that, it means looking deeper than the surface level meaning. Now, esoteric meaning, and I repeat again, intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialised knowledge or interest. Sadly, looking into Freemasonry below the surface meaning has become esoteric. It's become what only a small number of people engaged with this sort of practice will be involved in. Whereas I believe originally Freemasonry was meant to be doing that from the beginning, because of many different passages within our ritual and allegory that actually says the same. So sadly, the purpose for which Masonry was intended is now practiced by those of a small number. So hence what they're doing is esoteric. And the exoteric view, which is the general view, is that it's for meeting people, social events, dining, etc. So whether it's esoteric or exoteric depends on what the majority of people are engaged in, not whether something is seemingly nefarious or something that's wrong or different. So I thought I'd just put that out there because I'm purely involved in Masonry from an esoteric perspective. I look into the meaning of the hidden meaning behind the allegory, symbol, ritual and ceremonial. And you'll see all of that in my following videos moving forward. So thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please press the like button. And if you want to hear any more videos, please subscribe. And ding the bell if you want to hear any notifications for any new videos. Thanks very much. See you next video.